There's something grotesquely modern about Edward Hopper's Automat. When you look at this painting, it fits perfectly within a modern portrait. Something you'd see on Facebook or Instagram, but maybe with a different set of clothing. Something about this painting feels familiar, comfortable, harmonious. What is it? Does it feel right because of the lighting? Is it the colors? Perhaps it's some other quality, something more surreal, something abstract. Solitude. The reason it feels familiar is because it is. It's comfortable because this is the world we live in. We are designing a world devoid of human contact. And do we dislike it this way? Or is this what we really wanted? If you don't believe me, take a look around you. Think about everything you do differently today than what your ancestors did 100 years ago. This isn't to idolize the past, because the social issues we face now are far different than the social issues we faced then. Now remember, Scribe is not an expert in the social sciences, but she did try her best and looked online for responses from various message boards and online platforms related to this issue. But this is not a survey, nor is it a study. And Scribe wasn't sure if it was her search queries or the ways that she phrased things, but the results seemed bleak. Of all the responses she saw within the few hours of searching, most respondents seemed to have the same amalgamation of responses. I want to have friends, but I don't want to keep up with them. I want to hang out with people, but I don't want to message them first. I want to have fun, but I don't want to feel stressed. I want to be far away from others, but I want to be close to them. I wish I could go out of my way, but I don't have the time. I wish someone else could make an effort for me. Overall, the preference was for solitude. Now maybe extroverts are too busy out there having fun to be posting stuff like this online. But as she dug deeper, she found that her research didn't necessarily agree with that conclusion. Cool. But why should I care? Yeah. Why should you care at all? What difference does it make to you? Well, let me introduce you to a concept known as the Pit of Despair. The Pit of Despair was an unethical experiment carried out by Harry Harlow in the 1970s. The concept was simple. It was a vertical chamber designed to have baby monkeys climb into a pit called the Well of Despair. These primates would be contained within the chamber for a set period of time. Some had to wait a few weeks, while others had to wait up to a year to be freed. Harlow wasn't evil. His goal here was to study depression in primates and to figure out the effects of total and partial isolation. After 1 year of isolation, the monkeys ended up severely damaged. They didn't like to move around, they didn't want to play with others, and they didn't mate with their mate. Sad part is that for many monkeys, it only took a few days for them to give up completely. They were sad and felt alone. Even worse, even the happier monkeys came out with severe damage. It was hopeless. Loneliness is contagious. Being lonely is a state of mind, and it is contagious. Sure, some people can be in a peaceful solitude without feeling lonely, but actual loneliness is a serious problem. It starts by affecting the way you look at the world. Caroline Beaton penned an excellent article about this issue for Forbes. The Framingham study suggests that humans may also drive away the lonely, so that feeling socially isolated can lead to one becoming objectively isolated. And according to a joint study by the University of Chicago, the University of California, San Diego, and Harvard, loneliness can also spread among a group of people. We detected an extraordinary pattern of contagion that leads people to be moved to the edge of the social network when they become lonely. On the periphery, people have fewer friends, yet their loneliness leads them to losing the few ties they have left. Being lonely will also influence the way that you look at the world. You will start to unravel, you will become more paranoid and less trusting. And this starts a cycle, because it's hard to make friends when you don't trust anyone. Being lonely is as bad as smoking 15 cigarettes every day. The WHO. The World Health Organization recently classified loneliness as a global threat. If you're watching this video, that means it's affecting you. It's affecting everyone. For the rest of this video, we will focus on English-speaking countries specifically, but please be aware that this issue affects everyone globally. The statistics are depressing, and they'll be linked below. However, something more interesting is the type of people it is affecting, and for different reasons. In fact, this is affecting everyone you know. Your parents, your friends, your lover, your children, even you. For example, here in Western society, our elders grew up in a world where they were more likely to experience and visit places like churches, bars, and other third places. These are places that aren't connected to your home, which is a first place, or your work, a second place. Third places always acted with the intent of socialization, being able to make connections or friendships outside your comfort zone. These places, such as libraries, parks, and community centers, oftentimes didn't require a fee to get in and were specifically there for social interaction. However, attendance at third places has been declining rapidly over the last several decades. Church attendance has dropped significantly, while bars and other social venues are experiencing a major decline in customers. While this may not matter to you, it does show a downward trend in places where people may have visited to create friendships and meaningful connections. And this has contributed heavily to our current feelings of isolation and loneliness. If you're an older person, you're likely dealing with the loss of family, friends, or loved ones due to health complications. Likewise, you're more often than not living alone. Technology is growing rapidly and you're starting to feel left behind. To make it worse, you just want someone to listen so you can meaningfully contribute. But the world seems increasingly hostile to your comments. If you're a millennial, you might feel squeezed dry. Everything costs money, and you don't have it. If you have children, you might feel it's hard to support them. You don't have many social nets, and the ones that you do have are failing. And you're too afraid, or you don't believe that you can raise new ones. If you don't have children, you've probably drifted away from your friends who do. Your socialization lately has almost been entirely online, and when you do hang out with your friends, it's often at a house and you're all on your computer, phones, or tablets. If you're a Zoomer, you might be in a happy relationship, but it's a coin toss. If you're a younger Zoomer, you might feel like your social media is always being monitored, whether it's by your millennial or Gen X parents, or by your bosses, or even professors at school. When you don't believe that you can communicate with your friends even through a digital medium, you can often feel alone and isolated. And even then, like the millennials, you don't feel like you can start a family or afford to buy a house or even a car. Right now, you'd rather focus on your education or possibly work. You believe that your economic outcomes outweigh your social needs. Either way, you have most, if not all, of your social relationships online too. The general sentiment? Grandma is being ignored, the parents are feeling overwhelmed, and the kids aren't alright. Transients. You can pay, but you can't stay. The transient nature of our society is something we all must acknowledge. Third places no longer exist. Malls have been shut down because everyone is shopping online. Libraries may exist, but you're meant to be quiet. You cannot talk to your cashier anymore, and most of the time, you're in self-checkout anyway. You could buy a coffee at Starbucks, but people are going to get annoyed if you stand around for too long. And let's be honest, it's probably pickup or delivery anyway. The world we've built is designed to make you spend money and then leave as quickly as possible. This maximizes profits for the company and speeds up the process for the next customer. And then it goes on and on and on, like a spinning wheel. Everything in life is transient. The message has become clear. You can pay, but you can't stay. We've designed a dystopia, and now we have to suffer through the consequences. So the questions here are, is the transient life we made making us feel jaded? Is the world we've created making us feel alone? The hedgehog's dilemma. The German philosopher Schopenhauer had an interesting idea called the hedgehog's dilemma. Schopenhauer, 1851, Parerga Paralipomena. One cold winter's day, a number of porcupines huddled together quite closely in order for their mutual warmth to prevent themselves from being frozen. But they soon felt the effects of their quills on one another, which made them again move apart. Now, when the need for warmth once more brought them together, the drawbacks of the quills was repeated so that they were tossed between the two evils, until they had discovered the proper distance from which they could best tolerate one another. Thus, the need for society which springs from the emptiness and monotony of men's lives drives them together. But their many unpleasant and repulsive qualities and insufferable drawbacks once more drives them apart. The mean distance which they finally discovered and which enabled them to endure being together is the politeness and good manners. Whoever does not keep to this is told in England to keep his distance. By virtue thereof, it is true that the need for mutual warmth will be only imperfectly satisfied, but on the other hand, the pricks of the quills will not be felt. Yet, whoever has a great deal of internal worth of his own will prefer to keep away from society in order to avoid giving or receiving trouble or annoyance. Unfortunately, people cannot get close to others without feeling a sense of risk or like they're going to be emotionally harmed. However, everyone needs to feel warmth and acceptance. So we're trapped in this state where we constantly feel like we're in a revolving door. We want to get close to others, but we fear what they'll do. We know we may get hurt, so we're constantly walking on our razor's edge. This plague called loneliness. What if we're just damaged monkeys like the monkey in the pit of despair? Could that experiment serve as an allegory to show us what would happen if we prolong our isolation and continue to fall deeper into our modern day loneliness? Or can we turn this around with just a little bit more compassion for one another? Would a gracious mindset and an attempt at understanding others lead us away from our current despair and into positive sociality? The answer is actually hopeful. Initiatives are currently being launched all over the world, with the WHO launching a commission just earlier this year to take on the loneliness epidemic. The WHO Commission on Social Connection aims to see the issues recognized and resourced as a global public health priority. The Commission will propose a global agenda on social connection, working with high-level commissioners to make the case for action, marshal support to scale up proven solutions, and measure progress. But it's simply too soon to say. You cannot fight an invisible enemy, an enemy that you know nothing about. Currently, data is being collected, and we hope that a better future is on the horizon. Fortunately, we just don't know enough about it yet. In the meantime, we're likely to see the rise of AI companions and even more subscriptions to fill the void. But you can do something. Right now, you can be grateful for what you currently have. You can reach out to your friends and your family, even the annoying ones, and just try your best to make an effort. I want to have friends, but I don't want to keep up with them. I want to have friends, so I have to keep up with them. I want to hang out with people, but I don't want to message them first. I want to hang out with people, so I have to message them first. I want to have fun, but I don't want to feel stressed. I want to have fun, so I'll handle my feelings. I want to be far away from others, but I want to be close to them. I don't want to be too far from others. I want to feel close to them. I wish someone could make the effort for me. I'll make the effort because they lack strength. Traveler.